I had to watch this game a couple times before starting to talk about it, and even after having done that, I'm not exactly sure what to say because this is one of the most bizarre battleship games I've ever played in World of Warships Legends. We're in the USS Kansas, which some people would say is the best American battleship at this time, due to the fact that after it was buffed, its guns have that extra oomph to them, and there are 12 of them. They hit very hard, and they're also pretty accurate, especially for a battleship having such a massive number of guns. The downside to the Kansas, of course, is twofold. The first part, well, actually, both parts are connected, but the first part is that the Kansas is a thick ship. It's a dreadnought sort of battleship. It's like what would happen. It's like a fantasy essay on what would happen if the American battleship designers thought, ah, yes, the Colorado is the peak of all battleship design. Let's blow the Colorado up and give it a bunch more 16-inch guns. You get the Kansas. So being big, it's a large target, easy to hit for most people, tends to take a lot of damage, even in situations where it's angled or bow in or whatever. You can see we hit the enemy Kansas out there for 7,200. And then the other part of being as big as the Kansas is that the Kansas doesn't exactly have the speed, so it's quite slow. Thus, in the beginning of this battle, we're spending it pushing up toward this Charlie cap. Our destroyer is pushing into the cap. We can see a Strasbourg out there. We can see a Georgia. And we know one of the destroyers is right in front of us. Plus, we have that Kansas out there, who we might shoot again. What we wanted to do, initially, was to support our destroyer inside of this Charlie cap. That is becoming a little bit more difficult as an enemy destroyer is spotted in that same cap, and we just shot at the Kansas. We take out one of his guns temporarily. He hits us in return for 4,500. No big deal, whatever. The friendly destroyer smokes up, loses sight of the enemy in Charlie, and now we really can't help him out at all. There's no way we're going to be able to shoot at that destroyer. We're going to continue our trek toward the center of the map. I'm trying to get there because, as I was alluding to moments ago, the Kansas is very slow. It's not a battleship you would want to take out onto one flank of the map versus another. Like, I wouldn't want to go all the way onto the flank of Charlie, because if I get there and I end up helping my teammates take out the enemy ships around this area, it's going to be pretty difficult for me to get to the other side of the map, where there are also 3 enemy ships pushing toward the Bravo cap, although it looks like my team is having an easier job flipping that cap than they are over here on Charlie. Nevertheless, I don't want to get stuck by Charlie, because the Kansas is just too slow. If I go into the center, then the reach of my guns should be able to comfortably reach both caps. And as you can see, if you take a look at the mini-map, that destroyer in Charlie is still holding it down, still preventing the enemy destroyer from flipping it completely. And we've got a cruiser near the Charlie cap, as well as 3 separate battleships heading in this direction. Well, actually 4. The one in front of us is just at very low health, so we might as well not count him because he is as good as on the bottom of the sea. It won't be too long at all before he goes back to port. But minus this North Carolina that is nearly dead, there are 2 other battleships coming in this very direction, so really, my assistance on this side of the map is probably not going to be needed, and my decision to go into the center is starting to turn into a decision to go to the other side of the map, where there's only 1 cruiser and a destroyer in that capture circle, versus at least 1 enemy cruiser and 2 enemy battleships. There's the Summers, though, so since he's spotted, we'll take a shot at him, hopefully finish him off. He's got no health, 1-shot kill for anybody. The kill goes to the Vanguard. That's perfectly fine. That's 1 destroyer eliminated. There's still 2 left on the enemy team, but there's also 2 left on our team. In any case, I don't think it would be Well, I don't think it would pay dividends if I followed all three of these battleships toward the Charlie Cap. There's a Georgia there who just lost half of his health. Beyond that Georgia, there's another destroyer, and there is that Kansas still. Is there any value in me pushing straight with these battleships into the Charlie Cap? I don't think so, and I'll tell you why. One of the very basic and fundamental things about battleship play is that when you're in a game with multiple friendly battleships, you become a lot less useful when you put your battleships all in the same place. You don't want them in the same place on the map. You certainly don't want them in the same grid square, and you probably don't want three of them pushing into the same capture circle at the same time in the very same place. It just renders them so much less effective because any enemy who has to deal with them can angle against one part of the map, the part where they're all located. Instead, you want your battleships to spread out so that you can get crossfires, and that's what I'm trying to do here by placing myself in the center and going more toward the Bravo Cap. As you can see, a Weimar has entered the Bravo Cap, which is wonderful. That ship is, of course, extremely weak and very easy to kill. It's got a reputation for being, not a very powerful cruiser at all. So there's probably nothing to worry about, right? We're going to be able to take him out right here with a single shot because it is a Weimar. Well, no, I guess not. He is going to, in fact, finish off our friendly cruiser, I think, in that capture circle with his torpedoes. Or is that a battleship? No, it's a cruiser. We hit him again, and he also doesn't go down. Big surprise, because like I said, that ship is in no way overpowered or strong, so don't know what's going on there, but we're still going to make our way toward that cap as the Weimar pushes straight into our cruiser. Enemy Friesland manages to take out our last remaining destroyer. Those three battleships, to their credit, have flipped the Charlie Cap, but they're all in one place. They've got a Kansas on one side of them, and they're dealing with two enemy destroyers and eating a bunch of torpedoes. So I definitely feel okay about not having pushed into that cap with them. If I was there, I don't think I'd be adding anything of extra value, but maybe I can get around here and sink this Weimar. I've got him high on the list of ship priorities in my mind since he's just around the corner of this island. I'm half expecting him to come around in an attempt to YOLO me, so I'm trying to keep my guns pointed in such a way that I could actually shoot them at the Weimar, but I also want to take shots at that Kansas, since even though there are three friendly battleships over there in front of him, they're all in one place, and all of them are going to have shots that are just as effective as all the rest of them's shots, if that makes sense. My shots would have come at the broadside or close to it, but at this point, I have to give up on that. The Weimar is right in front of me. He doesn't have much health left. We do have one friendly battleship on the complete other side of the Bravo Cap, so if we can come around this corner and maybe get some shots on the Colorado near Alpha, we'll have him in sort of a crossfire, and it'll be the very first crossfire we've really developed in this entire game thus far, and that would certainly be a nice thing. But there's the Weimar. He's trying to get away. As we know, he is not a powerful ship, in no way overpowered, very weak, so it only takes one salvo with 2 shells to take him out, and that is our second kill of the game. Now, we've only done 58,000 damage, and you might not think that is too impressive or interesting at all, but I'll direct your attention to the top of the screen. At this point, there are 10 ships left floating in this game. 5 of them are battleships on my team. Okay, 4 of them now that the Missouri has gone down. And then there are 3 battleships and 2 destroyers on the enemy team. Now, we do have a points lead on the enemy because somehow we've managed to wrest cap control from them and keep the majority of cap control for a long time in the game, resulting in almost a 200 points lead. So that feels very nice. But those 3 battleships right in the center of that Charlie Cap, well, now they're pushing out of it straight toward that Kansas. And I think at this point there are only 2 of them because one of them has gone down. So despite the fact that there were 3 of them, they were all in the same grid square as each other, and they were probably all abusing the will to rebuild skill. Well, now there's only one of them going straight out of Kansas. He's also got a destroyer to deal with, and well, let's just say there are not going to be any fruits as a result of that labor that had been performed by my teammates in the Charlie cap, aside from the fact that we still hold on to that cap, and that's going to be important because we still have a points lead. That last battleship over there goes down. That just leaves one more battleship besides myself in the center. Now, I happen to be full health, or almost full health, at the end of this game, and you can argue that's because I haven't done anything. Maybe you think it was a mistake that I didn't follow those 3 battleships into the Charlie cap. Maybe it was a mistake that I didn't stay on that side of the map and try to help them out, and instead ran away from my spawn and came all the way over to this other side of the map. You could make a case for that, and I'd be open to hear that if you want to make that case in the comments section. But I don't think any of my teammates, after the end of this battle, are going to complain that I came over here. I've got 0 teammates left now at this point, and I've got a Colorado pushing into me, and also an Iowa. The Colorado is not that big of a problem. He's a tier 6 battleship, and he's coated in 26 millimeters of armor everywhere, except the Citadel armor. So that means I can overmatch this ship through the bow, through the upper sides, pretty much anywhere. He stands no chance against 12 16-inch guns from the Kansas, as long as I can get a good shot on him. The Iowa is a slightly scarier story, of course, because I cannot overmatch any part of his armor scheme. If I'm going to damage him, I'm going to have to hit the broadside, or I'm going to have to hit the superstructure. Good thing the Colorado is basically at this point a one-shot kill, and the enemy has yet to enter the Charlie cap to start flipping it. So while we're behind on points, we're soon going to overtake the enemy on points, and even still, the enemy has yet to enter the Bravo cap. So, as I was saying a little bit earlier, you might think, or you might argue, that I did the wrong thing in the comments section. But I don't think my team, at the end of this battle, is going to think I ended up doing the wrong thing. Note there are still 5 enemy ships left floating. How that's possible, I don't know. But my entire team is gone, and I'm the only representative left. Now, where is that Iowa? We're also located, which makes me think a destroyer has sort of gotten close to us. Don't know where that destroyer is, hopefully nowhere near us. The Iowa's at a little bit less than full health. He's bow into us and pushing in. I am admittedly quite worried about the ram here. All he would need to do to secure the victory for his team is ram me. And I'm thinking that's what he's going to try to do, and that essentially my goose has been cooked here. But no, the Iowa is not interested in the ram. He wants to try to perform the drive-by shooting. And, well, he's going to try, but he doesn't quite have his guns on target, so I'm able to finish out my turn before he shoots, and when he finally does, his shells bounce off my armor. So I'm going to be careful to keep my angle toward him very good. He can't overmatch any part of my armor scheme either. He can chunk me very badly in the superstructure, as I can do to him, but that's not going to take me down. I'm also starting to take small arms HE fire, I think, from one of the destroyers. The Iowa is almost broadside to me, so I'm able to smack him, net myself the high caliber, and get a Citadel. Still at half health. Now there's less than a minute left to go in the game, and we are behind on points. And I don't think we're actually gaining points any longer, because the enemy has flipped Charlie. Oh no, we are still gaining points from our holding the Delta cap. So we may or may not be able to overtake the enemy on points. Instead, I think we're going to have to sink a ship. And initially, I thought the easiest route for that would be the Colorado, but no, it turns out it's the Iowa who decided to reverse broadside in front of us. So the Iowa goes down for our 3rd kill of the game. We're sort of giving broadside to the Kansas over there. We can't afford to keep doing that. We really need to turn. We've got no choice but to turn this way. We could try turning the other way, but we need to angle against the Colorado too. If he shoots us, we're gone as well. so we need to make sure our bow is pointed toward him. Hopefully the Kansas doesn't take a shot. He does. Takes us down to 1,400 health, but we're still alive, still kicking, and we're ahead of the enemy team on points, so we finish the game, and I get a solo warrior in the Kansas. Turns out that it's not always a great thing to push straight in with your battleships and simply die inside of a cap. Sometimes, if you can go for the entire game without losing any health, you can come back at the end and win it with a solo warrior. I hope you enjoyed the video. If so, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.